Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to today's webinar, where we'll be covering the topic of advancing your testing strategy with robust test metrics and reporting. Before we get started with the content, I just want to run through a couple frequently asked questions and housekeeping items. We will be sending out the recording to this session within the next 24 to 48 hours. So stay tuned for that via email that you signed up with. If you enjoy the session, we'd really appreciate it if you would share it with your teammates and on social media. We'll also be doing our best to answer any questions that you have throughout the session. So you'll notice that there's a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Please use that. We'll be looking at that instead of the chat box. So please make sure to use the Q&A box. My name is PJ Stevens. I'm one of the marketing managers here at SmartBear. And so I'd love to introduce to you today two of our esteemed panelists. So first, we have Ashwini Sathe. She's our product marketing manager, and she'll be running us through some of today's slides. How's it going, Ashwini?
Hey, PJ, I'm good. Thank you.
Awesome. Really excited for this presentation today. We've also very lucky to be joined by Milan Verma, who is our solutions engineer and resident Zephyr expert. So how's it going today, Milan?
Hey, PJ. Yeah, all is good.
It's all good. Awesome. So without further ado, I will let Ashwini walk us through the agenda.
Thank you, PJ, and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So let's take a look at today's agenda and what all you can expect to learn. We'll do a test management overview. We'll go over the benefits of test metrics and reporting. We'll do an introduction to Zephyr for Jira and its reporting capabilities. You'll see a live demonstration of the product, and at the end, we definitely have time for Q&A. So let's do a quick overview of SmartBear. SmartBear was founded in 2009 in Boston, and we have grown to 11 global offices and over 500 employees today. So SmartBear is widely known for its open source tools, especially Swagger and SoapUI. And today we have over 6.5 million users and 22,000 customers trusting us with their software development. If you take a look at the breadth and depth of software SmartBear products, our portfolio spans across the entire software development lifecycle. So we have product offerings in each important category, including planning, creating, testing, monitoring, and finally managing and analyzing with the test management solution Zephyr. So before we dive into reporting and test metrics, let's do an overview of test management, because we know we have a good mix of audience here today. So test management, as we essentially know, is the process by which software teams plan, develop, execute, and report on all their testing activities across the software development lifecycle. So as companies need to ship high quality products and kind of meet the exceed customer expectations, they need effective test management and also team management in place that will help them to take a very structured approach to the entire testing process and keep the testing efforts organized. And that's where test management tools really help in. So some of the benefits that you would definitely get as you start using these test management solution is improved efficiency and save time on testing, because a test management tool provides a centralized system to create, manage, and track all of your testing assets and therefore bring in more efficiency. It helps to save the time of your quality teams by eliminating duplication of data. And any irrelevant tests very early on, it allows you to execute the same test multiple times. So this brings in more efficiencies, and you can track failed tests and recreate issues. Similarly, with test management tools, they offer seamless integration with bug tracking tools, which helps teams in organizing, tracking, and prioritizing bugs faster. Improved productivity is, is a result of helping to reduce the workload of testers and your quality assurance teams, because it, as I said, it allows you to reuse and share similar test cases via repositories. It allows duplication of bugs by creating a clear link between a test case and all the defects that are related to it. So, as your team members see this link very clearly, instead of duplicating the defects, they would, just create another instance of a defect to its original. Similarly, with traceability, it's a great benefit because you can get that two-way end-to-end traceability from requirements to defects and backwards. So, you can be this can be very useful to your users at each stage of the software release cycle to ensure there's appropriate test coverage. You can track the test execution status and track any open defects that are impacting requirements. With real-time reporting and insights through a range of gadgets and customizable dashboards, different teams can closely track the status and outcomes of their projects, and therefore you can better evaluate how you're doing on your release progress. So this we'll cover a lot in depth today. So this is definitely a great benefit of test management solution. Similarly, increased collaboration by allowing everyone from testers, developers, and manage to access all of these testing assets in a single shared space and providing stakeholders visibility is definitely something that will allow you to foster a more collaborative culture. With integration, with automation tools, CI/CD tools, this is a huge benefit as allows your teams to automate and kind of advance their test automation and reduce manual activities. So while we are at test management, we definitely have a small poll question for you. What tools are you currently using for test management? So if you can quickly check in your answers here. Ooh. Seems a lot more are using Jira. That's good. Good. So we saw that almost 80% are using Jira for test management today. 15% are using spreadsheets, and we have some proprietary tools, 6% and others. So this is great because we will be covering a lot of Jira aspects today too. So thank you for checking in your answers. Let's come to the core topic of our webinar today: the importance of test metrics and reporting. So software test metrics, as we know, is a quantitative measure that helps estimate the process quality and health of your software testing efforts. These metrics can generally be categorized into three categories. We have the process metrics, we have the product metrics, and we have the project metrics. So when you talk about process metrics, these are usually used to gauge and improve the process efficiency of your development lifecycle. So, these process metrics provide insights such as your test execution coverage, test execution productivity, and so on. With product metrics, these help you to monitor and continually improve the quality of your software products. So the kind of metrics that you will see here is, your defect density, defect fix rate, and so on. Similarly, project metrics, some of the most important testing metrics can be gathered at the software project level itself, across a specific release cycle or over the course of multiple releases and projects. So QA members can use this information to gain a better idea of how effective their efforts have been in any specific project. So this includes your requirement coverage, this includes your defect distribution by cycle and phases and so on. So why test metrics are really critical to your testing strategy? As software projects need to be deployed faster and are increasingly becoming more complex as, related to the team dynamics. Teams are distributed globally these days. So QA teams can leverage the information brought out by these test metrics to gauge what areas of testing strategy are working and which specific areas need improvement. So, and before we really start even utilizing these test metrics, it's very important to first understand that any of the test metrics, for it to provide the right impact on your testing, it is critical they can be easily accessed, they can be easily managed and shared amongst the stakeholders. And this is one area where test management tools provide great value. Some of the key benefits of test metrics includes assessing the project progress in line with the release goals. And this one is big because, as a measurement is one of the key things to bring information to the individual testers, QA managers, and other key testing stakeholders to know if their efforts are aligned to the release goals. With test metrics, teams get the ability to clearly identify the areas as well as what type of improvement is needed and then make informed decisions. So because test metrics allow QA teams to closely monitor various elements of their testing and provide an overview of the critical functions that need to be prioritized. So you can definitely make recommendations on your process changes or budget changes that are now backed by real-time data. Similarly, quality and development teams can track software defects, prioritize them based on insights such as which defects have maximum impact on your requirements or which ones present a risk for any future bugs to emerge and address them early on. Testing metrics are also known to allow stakeholders to use different performance indicators to bring in cost efficiency, because now you're also able to better predict the development timeline for your future releases. So this helps in a great way because management teams can create streamlined development schedules, optimize resource usage, and reduce the likelihood of incurring higher costs due to delay in your releases. Getting deeper insights to refine plan for future release activities is also good because ultimately this is what you want to gain out of your test metrics. Similarly, why reporting is critical to your testing strategy. So this is one of the most important phases in your software testing cycle because without reporting, it will be hard to really evaluate the efficiency and timeline of your development process. And how would you make continual improvements to that? So as reports and dashboards allow you to visualize the data and have that information available in a form that is easy to comprehend and understand by all important development and tester personas. So with reporting, you can track coverage, you can track your defects and ultimately your software quality because these include reports such as your test execution charts. You can see the top defects that are impacting the most number of test cases. So, monitoring the progress on projects and releases, you can get that end-to-end visibility into your testing life cycle. So often in the absence of a test management tool, it can get burdensome to create these software, software quality reports. And therefore it's important that you sign up for the right test management tool, gauge what are your team's needs and what kind of reporting capabilities are you really looking for before you finalize a test management tool. Another key set of benefits from reporting is that it gives you real-time insights and actionable takeaways, so you can make informed quality release decisions and not just keep these insights to yourself, but share those findings that can be leveraged by other teams as well. So thus overall, we can say that these quality and testing reports help address three key areas. One is to facilitate communication and increase collaboration between the two most important departments, which is your quality assurance and development teams, as well as, it provides project teams information regarding the status of their execution progress, top defects, and other key testing elements. And the most important one is that it presents the management with deeper insights into the efficiency and productivity of their development activities. So all in all, this is why test metrics and reporting are extremely critical to your testing strategy. Before we dive into the product demo and more deeper in discussion about test metrics and reporting, we have another poll question for you. So we'd like to know, which tools do you use today for your reporting as part of your test management strategy? We have a bunch of options for you guys, okay? Good, so we see that native Jira reporting capabilities, as high number of people have rated that, plus we have some using, 38% still using Excel spreadsheets. and 28% using another tool external to Jira. Thank you for checking in your answers. We'll definitely see that in more detail now. I'll hand over to my co-presenter Milan Verma here for the next Zephyr for Jira introduction and discussion.
Excellent. Thank you, Ashwini. All right. So, as Ashwini's mentioned, there is a need to report at a high level, but also a low level as well, to obtain granular levels of detail around your testing progress, whether it be for a test manager, a test lead, test coordinator, an agile coach, scrum master, a project manager. You need to obtain high level progress of a sprint, a project, a release, or you need to obtain some defect-oriented views or some story or epic-oriented views to ascertain progress, not just during the testing process, but also afterwards, so you can retrospectively report on how things went for the sprint or how things went for the release, for instance. So, full testing and reporting requirements are needed for testing inside of Jira. We've seen this from the poll results as well. You know, a lot of reporting is done within the Jira environment itself. It doesn't make much sense to take this data and export it and then report externally. Although, you know, sometimes your hand is forced because the reporting capability is not available inside of Jira. You might need to manipulate the data a bit. You know, we might need to obtain some metrics that are particular to your organization or your test team. So that capability may not be available inside of Jira. Thankfully, there are some approaches, some tricks available using filters, using JQL queries and ZQL queries as well. And we can dive into those when I show you the product. Now, also, there is a need to collaborate faster and test faster as well, with a solution that can help support your testing methodology. Now, some projects may be older projects, so they may be adopting a traditional waterfall approach, but others may be deeply entrenched into automation. They may be following an agile approach, whether it be Scrum or, you know, it might be Kanban maybe being implemented, but essentially you need to be able to report on the progress quickly and easily, and also break down the data into subcomponents. And we can do that using subfolders. We can do that using labels and tags as well. And as I mentioned, you know, there may be some CI/CD pipeline work being done, leveraging GitLab or Jenkins or Bamboo or another CI/CD framework. And reporting may be done in that tool or solution, but we need to be able to report on that data, whether it be from there or inside of Jira. And I'll present a solution for you. I'll talk to you about how data can be brought over from an automation framework and also from your CI framework into Jira and reported from Jira itself, and how you can leverage some of the APIs available for Zephyr for Jira to take data out and report externally as well. So a few options. So when it comes to dashboards, Jira has a really good dashboarding capability. You can install plugins into your Jira environment. They'll give you access to gadgets and dashboarding capabilities. You can use the native Jira gadgets as well to report on the traditional issue types like epics and stories and tasks and subtasks. And these are the gadgets that Zephyr for Jira bring to the table, right? So you've got a way of separating out all of your test cases by key criteria, be it folder structures or labels or tags, components. You can have a look at your test executions by sprint. You can have a look at defects which are connected to test cases. For example, you can see the top 5 defects and the correlated or the aligned test cases to those top defects. burn down charts, test execution details by date or by tester or by cycle or sprint, and a whole host of others. So time tracking is another one where you can have a look at your actual time versus your estimated time. And here are the benefits of these gadgets that are available in the Jira dashboards. So you can obtain, very quickly, your testing progress. You can have a look at the process and efficiencies to help make improvements going forward for the next round, for the next sprint, for the next release. And also you can help in the middle of a sprint or in the middle of a kind of release preparation approach, you can have a look at how your testing progress is going, and you can make changes and tweaks along the way as well, because these are real-time charts. So you can quickly see whether there's a particular tester which has an undistributed load of testing. Maybe you can jump into the application and do some realignment of the test assignments, for instance. Equally well, you can have a look at the burn down chart and see, okay, well, I've got all of this testing to do. These are my resources, and it definitely seems like I'm not going to be on target. What can I do? I can maybe add more resources to the project, or I can make some of these features out of scope of this particular release. It's not normal for you to make these changes at the sprint backlog level, but there are certain things that you can do to make changes mid-sprint. Now, from a traceability perspective, you can have a look at stories and see the connectivity of these stories to test cases and to executions, and these to defects. And that can help tell you, okay, well, we have these defects in play, and the stories that are the originating stories cannot be cleared because they haven't been tested, and here are the defects, here are the bugs that are related to those originating stories. So we can quickly pick up the test coverage data. We can quickly pick up the cycle progress and see whether there are any defects that we can quickly resolve, so that the features that are being tested or the components being tested can be cleared. And we can also do the inverse as well. We can have a look at the bugs that are impacting the originating requirement, starting off with a selection of bugs. And this can help us with regression defects as well. So we can highlight some particular bugs that have caused some issues to existing capability, and we can help clear them up. Now, Jira has some native reporting capabilities, charting capabilities, and we've supplemented these by adding some of our own reports that are available, the burn down chart, the test execution chart, and the top defects report. I'll show you where these are inside of Zephyr for Jira. Now, in addition to that, of course, there are boards available, agile boards, and we can report by of course, printing out the cards, but also viewing on screen a sprint-oriented view or an issue-oriented view or a backlog of our issues as well. I'll show you where to see this particular data as well. So let me jump into the demonstration. Just give me a second. So we start with the Jira dashboards. So you head up to the top left-hand side, and here you can see your dashboards, and I'm in one right now. So I can see the all projects dashboard. Now, before I jump into how to add these dashboards in and how to configure them, let me just give you a couple of minute overview of Zephyr for Jira. So once you've gone to the Atlassian marketplace and you've clicked on try it now or buy it now, and you have the Zephyr for Jira plugin enabled in your Jira environment, be it for cloud, Jira Cloud, or be it for Jira Server, and also for a Jira Data Center. Once you've got it enabled, you'll see a tests menu, And the tests menu will allow you to search for tests, create a test, which is leveraging an issue type called test, plan test cycles, plan sprints, your groups of test cases which need to be executed. You can search for these test executions. You can create filters against these executions. You can execute them, and that execution can be done either from this link over here, or you can jump into a test case and there'll be an execution option available inside the issue type as well. You can have a look at some summary information, some test metrics. These are just very high level pieces of data around your testing progress. And you can also see your traceability as well. As I mentioned in the slides, from requirements through to defects, or the other way around, from defects back through to requirements. And by requirements, I mean user stories or epics or new features, improvements, tasks or subtasks. These can all be regarded as requirements. And then there's an importer capability where you might want to bring data over from an external environment, an Excel spreadsheet, for instance, to take data in from there, to parse it, break it down by alignment of columns in your Excel spreadsheet to system fields and custom fields in Zephyr for Jira. And then there's some links here at the bottom that take you back to our support documentation. And I'll just quickly show you them right now. So here is a support page. And then if you click on online help, you can then select Zephyr for Jira. And so I'm in one of the Zephyr for Jira sub areas here. And this is for Zephyr for Jira server 5.0, but then, you know, there's also documentation for Zephyr for Jira Cloud as well. And then, you know, also from the parent page for the support page, you can head down to Developer Zone, and then you can have a look at Zephyr for Jira under Zephyr for Jira Cloud and also Zephyr for Jira Server. You can see the Zappy add-on information as well. So the APIs that are available for Zephyr for Jira. Again, if you come down to the bottom of these pages, there are API documentation pages where you can see sample API calls. You can also try out API calls as well on a test instance. Okay, all RESTful APIs. So that's the overview of Zephyr for Jira. There is also a video available on our YouTube channel as well if you want to delve into more details around the benefits of Zephyr for Jira. But let's get back to the dashboard. So I've selected one of the dashboards here, and this shows me some of the configured gadgets that we have for this dashboard. Some of the ones we were looking at on the slides I was showing earlier on. Let's go ahead and click on Add Gadget. Now, from here, I'll just type in Zephyr, and we'll come down, select one of these gadgets. And let's select project. Let's select a release. So the release is captured as labels within the version field here. It doesn't need to be. I mean, each project can be configured separately. So version can be holding labels for area of testing or week or month. You know, this particular project is subdividing sprints and cycles by release numbers, which is fine. And we'll stick to 5 sprints here. I beg your pardon, 5 defects. And then I'll set the refresh rate. And then we have top 5 defects, and then the impacting test cases, which are hyperlinks as well. So you can add to the gadgets available that Zephyr provide, and you can also use the gadgets that are available in native Jira as well, or any other add-on, and add these to your Jira dashboards. Now, alongside that, there are some other ways to report as well inside Zephyr for Jira. So one of the approaches is to go into search tests, where you see your traditional issue navigator, and it's pre-selected the issue type to be test. And then from here, you can select from the drop downs, or you can go to advanced and compose a JQL query. And then after you've done that, you can use the export capability to output the results. Okay, and this type of reporting for these items, for these test cases, can also be done when you have a look at the variant of the issue navigator. It's called search test executions, which is looking for your test executions, all of these. And again, you can compose a query and you can export. And for either the issue navigator as well as the execution navigator, you can create filters as well. You can click on Save As over here and create your own filters. And these can be managed right here under Manage Execution Filters. And the same applies when you click on Search Tests under the issue navigator. You can click on Save As and create your own filter as well, which just makes it a bit easier for pulling out test cases, for instance, by tag equals regression, or your regression suite. So custom reporting is available here in search test executions here, but also in planned test cycle as well. This is where you craft your sprints and you sub-organize by release and then cycles or phases, subfolder structures underneath these two. So for instance, if I go to this manual one, you'll see I can create a folder here underneath which you would have your test cases, and you can report on these as well. So if you see here, export cycle, export essentially means report. And I can take the test cases from here and report at a lower level, but also at a release level. If I come back up to, where is it gone? Up to, oh no, I beg your pardon. It is just at the below a release level for these particular cycles to the 3 dots, and then use export over here. Now, whilst we're here, I'll quickly show you test summary and traceability as well. And these two are referenced right here in the tests menu. So if I go to test summary, this gives you an overview of the total tests, the total executed, or total unexecuted, total executed, and the total unscheduled, broken down by creation and execution. And also there's the traceability approach as well, where you can select a release and select a starting point. So this will be stories, for instance. And then I want to map from my stories all the way through to defects. So let's hit generate. This now shows me first column being stories, and then final column being the defects. Okay. By the way, when you create your filters in your issue navigator and also in search test executions, if you are composing queries, then you can also run those queries on custom fields as well. Now, if you go to the reports area within Jira, you'll see a whole host of reports that Jira provides you with, but right at the bottom, there is an area called Other, and this is where you can see some of the Zephyr provided reports. So if you click on one of these, and let's just select version, let's just go with 4 cycles. Let's go with 5. Okay, so here's an example of a test execution report by cycle. And you can do the same with the other reports available as well. So I'll just show you those again. There we go. Test execution burn down, and also top defects impacting testing, which is one of the gadgets that we saw actually in the dashboards as well. So when it comes to reporting on boards, yes, you can have a look at your backlog and view your issues over here, but also you can have a look at your sprints, your sprint-oriented view as well. And you can export these as well, so you can print out your cards and you can change the scale of the print view as well, large cards or small cards as well. So your data is flowing through because the issue type test is available inside your backlogs, but also your active sprints as well. So you can have a look at issue views as well as sprint oriented views as well. Now, I mentioned that we have some APIs available. Now, the APIs are REST-based APIs, which some users tend to use to grab data from Zephyr for Jira and use externally, whether that be to create their own vector graphics outside, or whether to programmatically grab data and then manipulate it to create their own charts. The capability is available for you to do that. I would encourage you to go to the developer zone, check out the online interactive documentation, have a look through the RESTful APIs. And if you face any challenges, if you need to ask a question, then head over back to getzephyr.com/support. And then right up at the top, you'll see submit a ticket. Okay. So Ashwini, back to you.
Thank you, Milan.
No worries.
So now that you've seen, all the reporting capabilities, we have another poll question for you. PJ, if you can launch that question. Great. So we would like to know if you prefer a test management solution that is native to Jira or outside of it. At Zephyr, we have two very strong products. One is definitely our Zephyr for Jira product that Milan just demonstrated. So this is our full-featured, sophisticated test management, all native inside Jira, which definitely comes with your full testing capabilities and ability to manage your software quality lifecycle right inside Jira. You get the Jira look and feel, and you get that easy try and buy model. And Zephyr Standalone Edition is a robust test management solution with real-time and best-in-class Jira integration, which we manage outside of that Atlassian ecosystem. So here you get the multi-Jira and multi-project capabilities. And therefore, it would be very interesting to know what sort of preference does your team have around test management. So as we can see, almost 69% have voted for a native Jira solution and 12% prefer out of Jira, while others are not sure yet. So that's good. But thank you so much for checking in your answers. We'll head to the Q&A section now. So Milan, if you can, filter out some questions and provide answers to our listeners today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually trying to type as fast as I can. Let me just verbally mention some of the ones that I've been answering. So Eric was just asking how the tests are captured. Are they via a specific issue type? And yes, they are. They are captured via the issue type test, which we provide as part of Zephyr for Jira. And Satit was just trying to clarify, a statement that I'd made earlier on, and you're quite right, Satit. We are using ZQL queries to compose our queries. The JQL queries are used just for Jira data, but the ZQL queries are used for the Zephyr data that we add in as part of the plugin. So you're quite right there. So Avishai is asking, is there an option to use the same test in two places, folders? Yes, you can, because the test cases are stored and can be retrieved using queries and using your search criteria. But when you come to planning the test, that same test case can be placed into different releases and also different folders as well. So yes, you can. Let's see what else we have. Is there a way to, oh gosh, here we go. Is there a way to track list time based on bug issue by user developer? So that would be more of a Jira reporting challenge. So you'd need to report on your bugs based on the time taken. So that wouldn't really be testing time taken, which can be reported on using one of the Jira one of the gadgets that we provide with Zephyr for Jira on the Jira dashboards. One of the dashboards or one of the gadgets available gives you a bar chart which plots out the estimated time versus the actual time. And see. We use Zephyr Jira Cloud, but the traceability report does not appear to be available. Jeanette, there are some differences between Zephyr for Jira Server and Zephyr for Jira Cloud. They are not 100% in parity, but they're very, very close. So take a look at the cloud documentation to ensure that you're following, the kind of right approaches. And if you find something that isn't quite right, then raise a support ticket. But if it's in the cloud documentation, then yes, it should be there. When will Zephyr Jira support bulk status updates for test cycle executions? Currently can only update 20 at a time. Matthew, good feedback. We'll let product management know. In true Kanban style, we'll report back to Fernando, the product manager, and Lauren, I beg your pardon, the product manager, and we'll raise the feedback. When will Zephyr Jira support executing the same test case multiple times in the same test cycle? The same test case multiple times in the same test cycle. The same, Matthew. We can add them to different cycles, but if you want to add them to the same cycle, then yes, we will raise that with our product management. An option to do import. Vishay is asking, is there an option to do import from Excel file and change the column name as in the Excel file, or only as default Jira? I'm not quite sure, Avishai, what you mean by your question, but what happens when you do the import is you align your column contents in Excel with your field content from Zephyr Jira, your system and your custom field data. So the labeling, the semantics of the header, the first row, is not really important at all. You can call them whatever you like. The actual data is what actually matters. And there are 3 different discriminators you can use. You can separate each test case by name, by ID, but also by a blank line as well. Ashwini, are we good to get through a couple of more?
Yeah, probably you can take 2 more, and then we will definitely be sending back the deck to everybody and this recording, and also try to answer some of the Q&A via email. Excellent.
Thank you, Ashwini. So I'll just take the next couple. In the case of automation testing, does Zephyr for Jira does it have integration support for Python PyTest? Well, there's a couple of ways you can do this. You could go down the Zephyr route, but then this would mean that you would need to embed into your scripts at the end API calls to push the data back in. The other approach is to put a CI engine in the middle to trigger your Python scripts. And then the CI engine, for example, using our Jenkins or Bamboo plugins, can take data back from your Python scripts. They would need to be converted to a reporting format which aligns with the post condition needed, which is the JUnit reporting format. So you take your Python tests, put them into JUnit reporting format, so you can use an extra post build task to do that. And then the plugin will push the data back into Zephyr Jira. So it is possible. I'd probably recommend using the CI engine as a trigger for your Python scripts. That way it's easy for you to manage the post build action, and also means that you can use the same script for converting to JUnit reporting format for another project, another release as well. And I'll just take one more. Let's see. We have test cases created in Google Sheets. Could those test cases be imported? Yes, they could. You'll just need to export your Google Sheet data into Excel compatible format, so like a CSV file, for instance, and then you'd need to align it with a template. We can send you an example of how it should look. how a template should be, but essentially, for instance, you'd have one column with a test case ID, another one with test case name, another column with test case steps, for instance. We can send you some templates, Perry, if you just reach out back to us. Ashwini, back to you.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Milind, for covering the Q&A so well. So thank you, everyone, for joining today. PJ, any last words from you?
No, I'd like to thank both you and Milind for a great presentation today. And anyone who has outstanding questions, we will try to follow up with you. Another great channel to reach out to us is our Twitter page. It's @YourZephyr. We've got folks monitoring that. So if you do have questions, also feel free to use that channel as well. We will send out the recording to this session in the next 48 hours to the email address that you signed up with. So stay tuned for that. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Speak to you all soon.